Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to yet another edition of the Pure Digital Passion Podcast with me, Moses Kemibaro. Today, we have a special guest, somebody I admire and have known for a number of years. She's one of those people that I consider to be a digital nomad, somebody who works primarily online, but has also transitioned from a career being a technology professional for over 18 years and become one of the best known health and wellness coaches in Kenya and beyond. Today, we have none other than the very famous and the very fantastic Jane Mukami, and she's going to tell us about her life and what she does. Thank you for joining us, Jane.
I'm excited. Thanks for having me, Moses.
Great stuff. So, Jane, I've known you for probably almost 10 years, maybe longer.
Yeah. 2016, what's that? Seven-ish?
Okay, somewhere
7, 8.
thereabouts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
still a long time.
And I think our paths have sort of crisscrossed at different moments. I think we attended a conference here in Nairobi, the Social Media Week.
It was the first.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you were on my panel at that time. And that's how I think we got to know each other over the years. But I think what's interesting for me is that I think you have a very compelling story. Like myself, you're a technology practitioner, but you've gone full time into content and the health and wellness space. And I'd like to go back to origins. I'd like to know, who is Jane? Where did she come from? What's the story here? So let's
Wow.
go back to early
Ooh,
days,
the
Jane growing up.
beginning.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was born in Nairobi.
Uh-huh.
I was having a conversation with a friend the other day, and I told him, I've never been to Nyeri. I've
Oh,
never been to Murang'a. Why?
way.
Because my parents were born in Dagoretti and Waithaka.
wow.
Like Nairobi is
Proper.
shags.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I was born in Pumwani. I
Uh-huh.
grew up in Nairobi. Went to school here, primary school, went to boarding school in since I was 12.
Okay.
And when I got out of high school at 18, I was only in Nairobi for 2 years before I left for the US.
Wow.
Yeah.
How old were you when you got to the US?
20.
Wow. You're young.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was 20 and I just turned 44.
Wow.
So 24 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what did you go to do in the US? Was it the usual Kenyan story, pack the bags, go and do one of those accounting or something,
It
degrees?
was, so, I don't know, I think we're age mates and
Uh-huh.
you might be KCSE syllabus.
Did some of it.
So when we were done with high school, we had a period where we were free.
Yes.
We're done with exams. We're
Yeah.
waiting for results.
Yes.
We're in this limbo of, okay, we're done with school.
Yes.
And my mother, literally a week after coming home, after my final, she's like, so what do you want to be when you grow up? And
Okay.
I'm thinking, I just finished Form 4 last week.
And here we are.
And you're asking me what? So I remember looking at her and saying, well, everyone's doing hotel management. I'd like maybe to be a flight attendant. I don't know. And she said, well, before you find out what you want to be, you're going to computer college.
The computer packages. I remember that.
Yes. So literally before Christmas, I'd already done my 1 month of computer packages. The basics. I think I learned DOS.
Wow. Okay.
This is 98.
Wow.
97 actually.
Wow.
So after that, once you get in, it's after that, there's the next and the next. And 8 months later, when I did all the packages they had, she's like, okay, you're getting an internship at the United Nations.
Wow.
So I did a 6-month stint at the UN.
Awesome.
As an IT manager's assistant. And this was right before Y2K, and we thought the computers were going to die.
The millennium bug, yeah.
So I was helping the IT manager prepare for that.
Migration and all this, huh?
Patches.
Uh-huh.
I'm 18, 19. Yeah, I'm just doing what my mother is asking me to do. Because the deal was, as long as I do what she wants, she let me party. I can borrow the car. That was the deal.
That was the deal.
She's like, as long as you do this, Saturday, Sunday, you want the car to go out with your friends, you can have the car.
Wow.
I was like, fair enough.
Fair deal, yeah.
I did my stint in UN, and once I was done, she's like, oh, a friend of mine owns this company called Novacom Systems.
I know them.
He's interviewing. Mebs Natu was
I
my
know him,
boss.
yes.
So I started working for Micros and Fidelio.
At this point, you're still not yet in uni. You're still university is awaiting.
My life is just unfolding as planned by my mother.
So you go to Novatech?
I worked at Novacom. I did installs at Grand Regency, pavement. I went to Mombasa.
What?
Yeah, that's how my foot was put in IT.
Okay.
So by the time I left Kenya in 99, now it was okay, you've been in tech for a year and a half. Do you think you want to still do that? And by then I was already kind of deep. I was like, okay, I guess I can go to school for computer information systems, which
Yes.
is how I left Kenya to go to school.
Okay. So you applied, presumably got into a
I got
university?
into a college in Atlanta, and I left, and the plan was, okay, go do uni and we'll take it from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you land in Atlanta, where I believe a lot of Kenyans live.
Yes. And actually, I did have friends who were going to the same uni.
Oh,
and
nice.
this uni is called Kennesaw State University, which used to be called Kenya State University, because there were so many Kenyans.
Oh, okay. People made a nickname for it. Yeah.
So and it's because it was a small uni that was away from the main city. It was
Okay.
growing, and it was very accommodating to international students. So it made sense that, okay, when you get there, you'll meet some Kenyans. You'll kind of feel familiar, but you're in school. And I got there. It was actually November, so I should be celebrating this month. I celebrate every year the many
Wow.
years, how many years I've been in the US.
Wow.
And it was heading to Thanksgiving, just like now. It was cold. It was snowing.
So again, for the first time,
And I
you're
remember
this...
thinking, I didn't sign up for this. And I'm waiting for January to go to school. So I
Wow.
had 6 weeks to settle down and all that. And that's how uni life kicked in, and learning that as an international student, especially because my mom was a single mom, and I felt like she had put such great effort in raising my brother and I and paying my tuition. As soon as I got there, there was this thing in my mind: I don't want to bother her. I don't want her to have to do more than she's done. So she'd always ask, "Is everything okay?" And I tell her, "Yeah, I'm fine. I actually got a job as a student assistant. So don't worry about tuition. Everything's fine. I'm
Wow.
good." Not knowing that I was working 3 jobs.
So you didn't even give her the full picture,
Because
huh?
I didn't want her to worry.
How do people do that? I mean, many friends of mine have done that in the US and so forth. And I'm like, it practically means you're doing like 2-3 hours of sleep a night.
Yeah, you have to take a full load of school.
Wow.
So it was go to school 4 days a week, 12 hours a week, then have a gig here, there. I mean, at 20, you're so full of energy. And by the way, you're still finding a way to party.
Somewhere in the middle of all
Somewhere in
this.
the middle of all this, which if you ask me to do that now, I can't.
It's not possible.
Even, like, I need 9 hours of sleep,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But that was the hustle mentality, especially coming from an average family in Nairobi with a single mom who's working hard to raise my brother now that I'm gone. And me just feeling like I need to figure it out because I don't want to be, okay, mom, every semester give me money for school. And lucky because of the little tech gigs in Nairobi,
Yes.
within 8 months, I applied for a job at IBM and I got it.
Wow.
So that's why,
so that historical context of Nairobi actually played into, this is now when you're graduating.
No, this is
Within...
8 months within being in the US.
Wow.
A Nigerian friend of mine was like, "Oh, I work for IBM." I'm like, "What do you mean you work for IBM? We're in the same class." It's like, "Oh yeah, like 15 minutes away, there's an IBM office." And I started asking, "What do you do?" And I was like, "Oh, that sounds like what I did at Novacom." So I put my resume together, and he told me to just walk in and tell them I need a job, and they'll tell me where I need to send the resume.
Wow.
And I did that, and in a week they hired me.
What?
So the gigiri, the certifications from what was that place everyone went to in town?
It
started
NIT?
with NIT, yes.
ICDL?
Yes. And the internship, the certifications, the Novacom position, they helped me get into corporate America almost as soon as I got there.
Fantastic. And of course, now the income side of this changes dramatically. You're not doing the McDonald's as such,
yes,
right?
so now I could step away from 3-4 jobs and focus. I still kept it became full time, and I still kept the school job because they were buying my books.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay, let me keep that school gig. It was part time and still work at IBM while I'm trying to figure it
But
out.
clearly the IBM work was higher ROI for your time, I'm sure, significantly.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because I was only working, I'd work 8 hours a day, Monday to Friday, sometimes Saturday, and go to school at night.
So what I'm hearing you say is that if we're talking now to the younger generation of Kenyans and anyone else globally looking at a career in technology, there is an opportunity between the time you're maybe even still in high school and between university to acquire skill sets and certifications that can almost immediately play into your career, even if you're still in university.
Absolutely. And not to mention, I went to high school in Kiambu, a school called Kagwe Girls. And we had Form 3 and Form 4, I took computer classes.
Wow.
So at least I'd learned what a floppy disk is, what a processor is. I had the basics before I came to the post high school certifications. I
Wow.
wasn't green.
So you had a fundamental
I had the
foundation.
fundamentals from high school.
Wow.
And I never thought tech would be my field because
Okay.
I always imagined doing something that's very customer service people facing because I like people. But my mother, seeing I didn't know, kind of guided me. And she actually dragged me with her to dinners with her friends who were usually Asian or Caucasian, just for them to tell me that, yeah, technology is where you need to be.
There's an opportunity in this space.
The future is heading to tech. So really consider it.
So that's also really good because what you're telling me again here is that your mom could see an unconventional path and supported it.
Yes.
That's so important.
So I think in her mind, when I said flight attendant, hotel management, she's like, that sounds cute, but I know what you're gonna do when you grow up.
She could see the path.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. So you're in uni, you're now in IBM. What happens next?
So between 2000, maybe 3-4 years, I'm working IBM 2 years. Then I'm like, okay, I'm tired of doing this kind of thing. I want to do something more. So I started moving jobs.
Okay.
And I'd come to Kenya every year. Now that part, my mom made sure that I came home every Christmas. She'd be like, I'm sending you a ticket. You're coming home for Christmas. If at least she's not paying for anything. And she also wanted, I think, to just see me. Like, are you okay?
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
as a single mom,
moms are
right?
like that.
Yeah.
They're also keeping you grounded with your home, I think. That's also part of it, yeah?
So from 2001, I came home every Christmas. So I was a real bunny. And I'd literally come home for 2 weeks and party every night for 2 weeks. That was like standard.
Wow.
You know, it's
you're young, energetic.
It's just that Nairobi life. And I did start partying like at 14 with cousins. So being out was normal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I'd work really hard, come home, party really hard, enjoy family time, go back. And coming from IBM doing blade service support, growing to different companies and starting to feel like, okay, I like this work, but I want to do more, and taking a few certifications here, growing from that to business analyst, system analyst. Then what's next? Okay, the next thing you do is you become a project manager. That journey maybe took 5 years.
Okay.
So by the time I graduated uni in 2005, I was 24, 25. I was making over 100,000 a year. I bought my first house.
Wow.
My brother had just cleared Form 4 and just came to the US to be with me and start his journey.
And you were taking care of him, obviously, when he's there with you.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So by 25, I was set. I was set. And that continued on to 2006 when I got married. 2008 when I got divorced.
Wow, 2 years, yeah?
2 years in, still working tech. Divorce was because of domestic abuse or physical altercations. And a blessing and a curse, the fact that I saw my parents physically having the same domestic issues, which is, I think, a big reason why I was sent to boarding school.
I see.
So when I'd come home on the holidays and see I think my mother was trying to just keep me away. which actually led to my brother going to boarding school in class 2, which I felt sorry for him for. At least I went in
So
class
young,
6.
huh?
He went to boarding school in class 2, but it was, as an adult, I now understand my mom didn't want us seeing the strife
That was
happening.
existing.
Yes.
And people don't talk a lot about this stuff in Kenya. It's kind of considered a quiet
Taboo.
thing. No one says a word, but it's quite common. I think now the conversations around relationships, mental health are now becoming much more open, and people are
Prevalent.
talking about this nowadays. But back then, wasn't happening. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Actually, I remember when my mother left my father, he picked me up from school, and my mother had me when she was 18. She was a young mom. So her getting divorced in her 30s, like,
She stuck it out, huh?
yeah, nobody was getting divorced in the early 90s. You just stayed for the kids, and she was just not having it.
I know.
So me growing up and kind of seeing myself going through the same path and thinking, and I remember talking to her and saying, yeah, this is happening. And she said, well, you saw me leave your father. I can't tell you to leave, but if you do decide to, I'm here. I understand.
And she had that context as well, right?
Yeah. So she was very supportive, and she said, whether you stay or leave, whichever one you choose, I'm here to support you. So I chose to leave. But as a 28-year-old, you're not an adult. You haven't had enough life experience. In our 20s, what we think love is, the concept of love is so different. So I think what happened to me is I was happy. I was divorced from a no one's beating on me perspective, but emotionally was so much doubt. I actually didn't tell people I was divorced.
Wow.
It's, what will they think? And this is also the age where you care what people think, because you're supposed to go to school, get a good job, get married, have kids. So now here I am getting divorced. So there's that shame, feeling of failure. And I think that's what made me spiral into this depression, even though I was divorced.
Yes.
Yeah. And that became the beginning of the end of that life, because I gained so much weight, stress eating. I wasn't really talking to anyone. My ex-husband and I had been to therapy, but when we separated and I filed for a divorce, again, culturally, you just deal with your problems by yourself. You're functioning at work, but people have no clue what's going on at home. So it's function, come home, eat, drink, cope, escape. Yeah. And after almost 6 months of doing that, I remember a moment or a morning where my pants ripped because I'd gained so much weight. Wow. And I'm thinking, something has to give. I just can't.
It's that trigger, that
keep
moment.
Doing, and there was a mirror in front of me, and I looked at myself. I'm like, oh my God, what happened to me? Who am I?
Yeah.
I'm divorced. I should be looking better, but I look worse than when I was married and battered. And that was my wake-up call. It was April 2008. And the first thing that my brain registered was, okay, I need to do something about the way I look at the very least. And that day when I got off work, I remember walking into my neighborhood gym and kind of signing up and trying to, okay, let's start this
Had
thing.
you ever worked out? Had you
I'd
been
never been in a
physically
gym
your entire life? Were you
ever.
like a sporty person in school?
No, I played table
Wow.
tennis.
So this is like first
This is
first
like
time.
like a fish out of water. I remember even the clothes I wore was in a t-shirt and some sweats, and I'm looking at people like, I look crazy. Everyone at the
Wow.
gym looks so stylish, and here I am with a cotton t-shirt and some sweatpants. And
But it was important that there's that thing they always say, like when somebody's going through the process of transformation, it's making that decision, that moment, and saying, now enough is enough.
Yeah, that was the day, like literally the switch flipped to forget this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do something, even though that thing that I did, which was walking in the gym, it taught me, first, I didn't know where to start. I ended up hiring trainers, taking classes, starting to run half marathons.
Wow.
I started become physically active, But 2 years later, I still hadn't really lost weight. I'd maybe lost 2 kilos because I thought all you had to do was exercise. I was doing the diets and losing weight, gaining it back.
You know, there's something so profound you said. I think it was when you came to my Rotary Club. And it was kind of like a mind flip, even for me. And I was thinking about this even before this conversation, that you said that losing weight has nothing to do with exercise. In fact, I think a quote that I saw is that you said you can't outrun a bad diet.
No.
Right? And this is kind of crazy because everyone thinks you got to just work out and it all goes, right? But it's actually more about what you eat and when you eat it.
Yep.
Than actually the exercise, right?
Absolutely. So those 2008 to 2010, what I learned was, okay, I love the process of working out. I love how it makes me feel, but my body really didn't change much. I just adapted the habit of working out and
I'm
dieting.
sure attitude-wise, you still felt good, right?
Yes. The thing that did change, and this is something a lot of people don't know, is that moving changes your emotional state. Actually, it's the quickest way to beat depression.
Just get your body moving.
Just get your body moving. And that's why I do it first thing in the morning, because as soon as I wake up, whatever happened yesterday, before my brain starts worrying and feeling, if I go work out, it's almost like hitting pause on the worries, going to work out, and then getting this mini superpower that makes the problem not so bad. Yeah.
It just puts you in the right state of mind as well,
Yeah,
right?
it's almost like a mini reset daily that makes you feel like, oh yeah, that was bothering me. It's not as bad. Like, it makes you just deal with stress and life so much better.
Absolutely. I completely agree.
Yeah.
You know, I do work out a little bit, but every time that you do work out, you know, you just feel like your day goes a whole lot better, you know, generally.
And it sets you up for the day. So that's what I learned between 2008 and 2010, that I enjoy exercising. I love the way it makes me feel. It made me get over that worry, feelings of failure, depression from getting the divorce, even though it really didn't change my body, but it taught me something, or I got something from it.
So you hit 2010, you realize the diet, the exercise, something needs to change here.
Yes. And at that point, I'd given up. I'm like, okay, I still want a flat stomach. So now I'm going to go get liposuction.
Ah, wow.
Yes. And I started talking to some doctors. I paid a down payment. And a week later, I saw a friend on Facebook and she looked great. I hadn't seen her in 4 years. So I called her. I'm like, hey, I'm trying to get lipo because I can't seem to lose weight. And she said, don't do that. Let me send you to a guy who's going to. So I was telling her, I'm working out. She's like, I'm working out sometimes 3 times a day. And she said, okay, it sounds as though you're moving, but your food is questionable. Let me send you to someone who's going to teach you how to do it
a nutritionist
right.
or someone?
He was a bodybuilding coach.
Wow.
So it was, this is how you work out. Like, I remember the first workout, and I remember going to him and saying, I'm going to give you 30 days. If in 30 days I'm not looking different, I'm going to go have this lipo. So the first workout with him felt like 3 days worth of workouts in one. It was intense. And on top of that, it was, here's how you eat to be able to get a flat stomach and lose the fat. And I started working with him in March. Was it March, May? And in 5 months, I looked totally different. I looked better than I had in high school. I was overweight in high school because my parents were going through a divorce. I was stress eating. A lot was going on. So most people know me from my childhood as a round person.
So let me get this straight. So he puts you on some kind of a program.
So he puts me on, I was training with him 4 times a week. But really, for me, what shifted things was how I was eating and how I learned what really good eating for fat loss was.
So here's a question, right? Maybe I've been asking for myself.
Sure.
Is it the quantity or the type of food?
Both. Number one, it's the quality of the food, meaning a slice of bread versus angwashe. They're both carbs. They both give you energy, but biochemically, they do different things to your body where fat storage is concerned. So it's the quality of the food, the quantity, even when something is healthy, if you eat too much, you'll still put on
So back in that
weight.
issue. So you got to watch your quantities.
Then there's the timing, nutrition timing, as we call it, the time you're eating, what combinations. And then the fourth is the actual combination. What are you eating that chicken with at what time? When I tell you it's an entire science, it is.
It is, yeah. It's not random at all.
It's not random. So here I am 5 months later. My body looks a way I've never seen it look.
Mm.
And I come to Kenya, and here comes my family. What happened? Are you okay? You've lost so much. Are you sick?
You're not eating enough, yeah? Those ones, yeah. And people relate to you the way they remember you, right? At that point in time, right?
Yeah, but it's this, we're used to you being bigger, rounder, and now you come home looking sick.
Wow. That's why they're calling you sick.
Yeah, they're
Wow.
like, is the US stressing you? Do you need to come back home? I'm like, guys, this was intentional. And no, I don't eat chapatis as much. I don't drink Fanta as much. I don't love those wimpy burgers as much, you know? So, yeah, so 2010 was the year of finally having my breakthrough in weight loss.
Mm. And now, okay, so you had the breakthrough, you've come back. Clearly, this is a new way of life. And no, I'm starting to kind of wanting to kind of remember the point where I became aware of you online. There's a point where it's sort of like, guys were like, okay, who's this person? Where is she? This is now the Fit Kenyan Girl moment.
Right.
So I'm thinking about how do we connect the dots from that moment to that?
Okay, so 2010. So people start coming to me, my friends, my neighbors. And by the way, I'm posting on Facebook, hey guys, I'm working out, I'm eating. And when I went back to the US from Christmas 2010, I asked my coach, okay, I've achieved my goal. Now what are we doing? He said, well, do you want a challenge? I said, yes. He said, okay, let's get you in your first bodybuilding show. Just do one. I was like, cool, let's do it. I'm game. And in 2 months, I got ready for my first bodybuilding show, and I was on stage in March.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, okay. Now, what I'd learned in 2010 was good, but for you to become a bodybuilder, there's a certain precision that has to happen. You have to get to a certain body fat. I think I used to be about 8% body fat. The discipline is different. So I took things up to bodybuilding, and it became my lifestyle starting 2011, 12, 13. And I'm posting on social media. So people are hitting my DM asking, hey, help, what are you doing? Well, how do you work out? What do you eat? And I'm just sending info free. Oh, guys, here's what I'm doing. Here's how I eat.
And you're still in the corporate world at this point.
And people ask me, can you help me? I'm like, no, I'm not a trainer. I'm actually a PM. This is just something I enjoy.
This is passion.
And it's free.
But then you're having the whole world come to your door. So
now I'm tired of answering the same question on Facebook 20 times. So I'm going to start a blog where if you ask me a question, I'll have like a knowledge base.
And you can go into
You want the answer? Here's the link. I've talked about it on this blog. Did I know anything about blogging? No. So I took a 1-day blog workshop in Atlanta.
Wow.
And the teacher says, okay, everybody, I want you to think about what you'll name your blog. It needs to be memorable. And she goes around the class. She comes to me. She asks, so what's the name of your blog? I said, well, I'm not interesting. I'm fit. I'm a woman. I'm a girl. Yeah, should I just be fit girl? She's like, yeah, but that's normal. I'm not excited. I'm like, well, I'm Kenyan. Okay, so you're a fit Kenyan girl.
Really? And
I'm like, yeah, I am a fish. She's like, that's memorable. That's how my blog.
And the penny dropped.
There was.
Wow.
And the homework was we had to start blogging in a week and blog for 30 days nonstop. That was 2012.
Still, that's 11 years ago, huh? So you start running your blog.
I just started writing articles. No thought of monetizing. It's almost like CSR. Like, guys, this is what I know. Go get it.
Almost like a journal, right?
Yeah. It's just, you want to know how I do it? I'm going to write a post every Tuesday. You can go here and read it.
Fantastic.
Then I come home, December as always, and I get a call. Oh, do you want to be on Jeff Koinange's show, The Bench? I'm like, what are we talking about? Fitness. And somewhere in between, The Nation had reached out and done an
Wow.
article.
So now you've built a profile. People know who you are.
Again, to me, it's guys, I work in tech, but on the side, I
Do this thing.
bodybuild.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that year in Nairobi, I think I was on KTN, I was on The Bench, all newspapers ran an article. And I'm still like, yes, this is my lifestyle. I'm just sharing my lifestyle.
So at this point, you're not even commercializing. You're not helping anyone. You're just sharing the good news.
Yes.
Wow.
That's it.
And yet they're coming at you anyway.
Yes.
Wow.
So I didn't have, and I always like to tell people when you find your passion, it just seems as though everyone comes at you. You don't have to chase people and chase the media.
And the authenticity is there, right?
They come after you.
They can
knock
sense
on your
the authenticity.
door. Yeah. Right. So that's what happened. So 2013, it was August, and by now I was consulting for companies. And I remember my contract was ending, and the company I was working for, the director was like, "Can you stay with us for 6 more months?" And I said, "Yeah, but I need a break." And I started feeling this pull of when I talk to people about health and wellness, I feel alive. And if I need to research something, I could spend hours. And
from that perspective, right?
Right. And here I was waking up and doing this job. Yes, it paid me good money. I had a great title, but so I told my boss, "Give me a month. Let me take a month off. Of course, no pay. I'll be back. I just need to think through some things." And that month, really, I needed to find out why I was feeling unsettled. And I started thinking about fitness and saying, yeah, but fitness can never pay me what I make in tech. It can't. I mean, personal trainers are not making money. So how can this ever work? And I decided, okay, I think I'm bored. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my PMP and maybe move to a different city. I'm going to move to an exciting city. I'd lived in Atlanta for many years. So I started studying for my PMP, and I don't know if it's the same in Kenya, but you can take it 3 times.
Okay.
Right? You can fail because it's hard. You have 3 opportunities. I studied, I did a boot camp. I sat for the exam, I failed.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, maybe it's a sign I shouldn't be doing tech. I'm still off work. I'm not working. So I'm spending all my days just doing nothing. Yeah, maybe just blogging.
Wow.
And then this idea came, if I went to Kenya in 2012, I was on TV. I put a post on social media saying, guys, I'll be working out in Sarit Center. If you want to work out with me, come. And people came. Maybe I should go to Kenya for 2 months and do more work. I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe I could do a contract for 6 months. After 6 months, take 2 months, go to Kenya, and then come back and continue with tech. Deal. So I said, I'm going to do PMP again and fail so they can give me back a refund. That's the deal. If you do it 3 times and you fail, you get your money back.
Okay.
So I'm like, cool, I have a plan. I went and sat for the PMP, no studying, I passed.
So plan is in limbo again.
I'm like, what the hell? So now I'm confused again. Should I be in tech? Should I be doing this fitness thing? And I remember that moment because I told myself I need to find a solution in 48 hours because I can't explain to you, for me, how I'm good at listening to my feelings. I like to understand. And when I'm not feeling, when I feel pulled apart, when I feel torn, I almost can't function. I love clarity. So I'm taking a shower the next morning and I promise you, I hear this voice saying, move to Kenya. I'm like, what? No, 2 months, I'll go and come back. Move to Kenya.
No.
2013 October. I get out the shower. I call my mom. I'm like, Mom, I'm coming back to Kenya in a few months. And she's like, oh, that's good. It would be nice. And I told her, yeah, and I might stay there for a while. She said it would be nice to have you because the most I'd ever come is 2-3 weeks. So I hung up the phone. I'm like, what would moving to Kenya look like? Okay, I have to sell my house, quit my job, Do I go to visit for a long time, but it said move? So I was like, okay, I'm going to plan for a move. I'm going to get a contract that's 6, 7 months long, sell my house and move to Kenya. And that's what I did. 2014 September, I came to Kenya. It was maybe February that I told my parents, guys, I'm moving to Kenya. And they're like, what are you coming to do? I'm like, I don't know yet, but I need to just come and figure something about fitness. And oh, they freaked out. She's like, but you're in tech. You went to school for tech. And not to mention, 2 years before, my mom had asked me to get my master's, and I refused because I told her I had a feeling that I'd find a way to do health and wellness online. And I didn't want to spend money and time on a master's. And not to mention, my salary or my pay had already maxed with or
You
without
wouldn't go
me
higher.
doing a master's. And she was not happy.
So what I'm hearing you say again here is very interesting because you have this calling, almost a spiritual calling, I'd imagine, that's telling you need to do this. And in some ways, it almost feels like this is almost they call the burn the ships. Moment you sell your house,
Yeah.
that's a clearest sign of
Like,
I may not be coming
don't
back.
come back. Yes, yes. And that was very important to me because I remember thinking about it and saying, okay, if I go to Kenya and I have my house here, I'm still paying bills here, but that means I'd have to time box it. But
I get you.
I don't know how long I'm going for. Like, I had so many question marks. I didn't have a business plan.
I get you.
I had nothing. So in my mind was, I'm just going to save some money, go to Kenya, sell the house, and if I might go to Kenya and never come back.
Wow. So you make this move, you sell everything, you get
But
on
I
a
had
plane.
to sell it to my parents as, oh, I'm just coming to Kenya for a few months and I'll be coming back to the US, just for them to feel a little more settled.
Yeah.
So I come to Kenya, I'm living at home with my parents, and they do the typical parent thing. You know, in Kenya, people work and have a side hustle. So why don't you go back to work? And while you figure out your fitness thing, at least you're doing something. Don't just be idle. Because in their mind, they're still not grasping that I've seen something happen online.
Something bigger
Like,
here.
people are talking to me online. So when I try and tell them there's something happening online, I'm trying to see what I can do with it here. They're like, yeah, but you can do that on Saturdays. While they're trying to it was literally the first week of me moving. I get a call from Mode. A friend of mine worked with Julian at Mode, and he's like, hey, I know your professional background. He was in tech. We worked together in the US. He's like, I need you in this team. I'm like, no, I'm not here to do tech. I'm here to do fitness. He's like, it's okay. You can just do this for 6 months. But there's a project coming up, and I know you can help me. Fast forward, barely an interview. I'm in Mode, working as a PM, and which made my parents very happy. And on the side, still trying to figure things out. And actually, a lot of people in Nairobi are becoming my clients on the side. I'm training some people, some it's nutrition.
So you're monetizing now. You're actually creating a business
I'm
out of
creating
this.
just a bit of money, not much, but I'm feeling as though there's a bit of traction, but I'm still trying to figure it. And a few people come up and say to me, hey, I'll give you $1 million, open a gym. It's yours. I'm just a silent investor. I had several offers like that.
Wow. But that means you'd already built this personal brand to such a point that people saw you as the expert, the authority in this space.
Yeah, but to me, I kept feeling like, guys, you don't even know that I haven't figured anything out.
This is the classic imposter syndrome moment.
No, it's just all I've been doing is posting on Facebook. And at that point, my corporate America, or my corporate thinking, I didn't have any business sense.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, so to me, it's, guys, I'm doing nothing. Just like you share you're out with your family having ice cream, I'm at the gym. Like, I don't quite get it. Yeah. And I'd written a little free book in early 2014 that people had started downloading and promoted it on Facebook. And I think 13,000 people downloaded it within a month. So in my mind, I could see some things turning. I just couldn't connect the dots to monetizing. But thanks to the corporate job in Kenya, I started working with a few people in the company, which, unbeknownst to most people, when you start a diet, it's so hard. You're still craving bread and alcohol and fries and pizza. So I'd say, okay, if you're having a hard time, I'm going to put you on a detox.
Oh,
Do this detox, and it will force you to want to eat good food. And I did it with a few people at Mode. And that's how I came to write the 10-day detox, which became my first digital product in Kenya in 2015.
wow.
So again, everything was working, but to me, not quite.
Still finding the path.
Still trying to figure it out. And anyway, yeah, that's how I finally started making money on an ebook that I sold for $10 that made me, I think, $10,000 in the first week,
What?
right?
Kenyans need to hear this.
Yeah. And this is 2015, August.
Oh my God.
So I remember telling my parents, sit down, we need a meeting.
This is what's happening.
Here's my salary. But I just made 3 times that in 1 week. And you want me to keep working. And I came here to do this. And my mom looked at my stepdad and said, hey, okay.
There's money here, huh? There's Besha.
She's like, okay, so you want to tell us that you made this 10,000 in 1 week doing what?
Content.
I'm like, nothing. I put a book on a website and I told people on Facebook, guys, if you want to lose weight, there's this book, go buy it. They bought it. I did nothing. And the money is just coming when I'm sleeping.
This is a passive income story, right?
So my mom said, oh, if this is how things are, you don't need to work.
But you provided data-driven evidence, right? It's like a techie.
Yes, because the traditional thinking of most of us and our parents is you only make money when you have a job, right? And I remember going to Julian and saying, my time has come. And he
Wow.
said, I know fitness has been your thing and I knew you wouldn't be here long. I get it.
Wow.
And
He got it immediately.
He got it because he's obviously the online space and all that, and but fintech anyway. So that little thing or book is what made me have the yes, I knew there's some way to make money doing this passion thing online. Now, how do I make it bigger?
The tipping point, so to speak, yeah?
Right. So we're talking of 2015. 2015, first book, 2016, second book. 2016, I leave Kenya to go to the US because my brother wasn't doing well. It was November. And I stayed there for a few months trying to work, trying to get help for him. And it ended up being 4 months. And 2017, February is when we lost him. Mental health issues, being in the military, PTSD, cutting the family off. So just being there for that. And once we laid him to rest in 2017, I remember thinking, my parents came back to Kenya and they were like, are you coming back home? And I said, you know what, I'm going to stay here for a little bit. My therapist is here. My friends are here. I'll be back to Kenya in like a few months. I'm just going to take time. And my way of taking time was also, okay, let me get a job. Let me get a 90 job to just help me focus on something different. And in 6 months, by the time I come to Kenya in December, I'll feel like I'm better.
Yeah.
So during those 6 months, I remember thinking, okay, I've been doing well online, but I really still haven't. I mean, when you're selling a product, you need customers. If you're selling a $10 product, you need X number of new customers every week.
It's a numbers game.
And this is when, again, my gears started turning into how can I move away from the ebook market, not to mention there's a lot of copyright issues, sharing, especially in this part of the world where it's more prevalent. We don't have this in like developed countries. People don't share PDFs.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. So during that time is when I started searching for help. I started looking for coaches like, hey, are you in the health and fitness industry? Can you show me how to do this online thing to really build a really solid business, but not with ebooks? And as I started investing and learning more, by the time the end of 2017 came, I was like, I don't think I want to go back to Kenya. I think I want to stay here and learn more and grow the business because the knowledge is there.
So it's the cutting edge, really.
Yes, because when you live in Kenya, even the ads you see on Facebook, they're African or Kenyan based. When you're in the US, the ads you see are not Kenyan ads. You get to see more information based on your IP address and geographic location.
Correct.
So just me realizing that, okay, when I'm in Kenya, everyone knows me, which means I'm at a ceiling. I'm the best. People know me for this. But in the US, there's so much room to grow and so much to learn. So why do I want to go back right now just when I'm starting to learn? So I said, okay, I need to stay here and learn from the best because those best are here and I can only find them online here. And that's the route I took. And it was 2018, a year after starting that job, that I quit the second time.
Wow.
And said, okay, now I'm done with corporate for real, for real. Now I need to make money. And I was broke because I lent somebody money and didn't get it back. Typical human thing. It's not a Kenyan thing. So I remember being broke and saying, okay, now I'm broke. Do I get another job? Again, in tech, there are always jobs, especially in the US. Rarely, at least before COVID. I still get emails about jobs in tech today. So I remember saying, I don't want to go back to tech. I've already tasted the freedom that comes with working online, talking to people online. I can't envision being back in a cubicle or in an office. So I walked into a bank and took a loan. And the person I wanted to work with was $12,000 for 8 weeks.
Wow.
So I remember saying, okay, I need a loan to pay this person and I need money to pay my bills for at least 3 months to float. But I need to do this now. And if this doesn't work, I'll never quit corporate again.
So this was a do or die moment.
This was my ultimatum to myself. But by the time I'd worked with this person for 4 or 5 weeks, I'd already made $15,000.
Wow.
By the time I was done working with them, we finished working together in almost September. By the end, between September and December, I'd made about $75,000.
What? So there's something else you're saying here that I think people need to understand. If you're going to create an online or digital business built around, let's say, your personal brand, it doesn't just happen.
No.
You've got to work with the pros. You've got to follow the systems. You need to learn what you don't know.
I think it even goes back to weight loss. I had to invest in a good trainer. And I realized you have to know how you learn best. I'm the type of person who likes, if you know something, show me.
So it's not academic, it's practical.
Yes. And not to mention, I was not academically sharp. I'm a C student. I'm not an A student or a B student. But what I realized is the things my heart loves, I'm such a good student. Yeah.
And you go all in on that.
I go all in what I enjoy. Just like in school, I loved English. I didn't care for math and chemistry and physics.
And that was that.
Right? So I did good in English because I loved it. And I think it's the same thing for every person. When you enjoy something, you can learn it. So anyway, going back to that, what I learned is when I want to go from one level to another, I'm okay paying for a shortcut. I'm okay saying, Moses, you're really good at this. Show me. Instead of me trying to figure it out, how about I invest and pay you and you show me the shortcut?
Correct.
And that was 2018. Every year since, I have a coach. I have a business coach. I don't go at it alone. Why?
So again, you're saying that it's almost like that famous African saying, almost like to raise a child, it takes a village, in the sense that it's when we reach up to get help from those who know better that we become better.
Absolutely. The only difference and the shift is, and I'm always saying, it makes sense for you to take a loan to go to uni, but uni doesn't guarantee a job, right? You can take a loan to pay someone to show you how they've done something. I'm also big on don't pay people who've not done what they're teaching you. If I've lost weight, I'll be a better teacher than someone who watched YouTube videos about weight loss. So when I'm looking to find coaches, it's because I've seen they were where I am now and they figured it out, which means they can show me how they did it. And 2018 is when really my business started.
And at this point now, you've sort of you've broken the bridge, you've burnt the ships. This is it now. You've
No
learned
more
the stuff.
corporate. I've taken a loan. I need to pay it back, but I'm seeing the ROI of the knowledge I paid for, because now I'm learning how to structure my coaching, how to communicate effectively online. Now I know how to do content marketing. And when people read and pay me, I can execute perfectly on the back end. That's 2018 is when I became a CEO. Up until then, the little ebooks, I was just trying to figure it
It was
out.
tactical.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you're doing all this, is this still primarily you, or do you have a team supporting you? How are
I
you
was
doing this?
just me. I'm a
Wow.
solopreneur. I'm the marketer, the full service delivery, support. It was me, just me.
And is this still the same scenario, or you have a
No,
team supporting you?
now I have a team.
So let's move from 2018. So you figure it out. You know, the penny drops. You're rolling. You're making
I'm
good money.
rolling. I don't have to be in Atlanta. As long as I have my laptop and Wi-Fi, I'm serving my clients. The business is growing. Yeah, what I envisioned in 2012 is coming to life.
At this point, are you making more money than you would have made in the same role that you had before in corporate, or is it
So
comparable? Yeah.
2019, so 2018, July to September, I've gotten help. I've made 75,000. 2019, that entire year, I made a little more than what I made in corporate.
So now at least it's parity. There's something similar to. And I'm sure from there it's accelerated, right?
So then COVID came in
Oh,
2020.
wow.
So 2019, I also got to spend 3 months in Asia, just traveling and working. Again, it's just me at this point.
Internet, laptop.
Internet, laptop, Facebook, Instagram. That's it.
Wow.
The business is running. I come home from Asia January 2020. The world shuts down in March. There's chaos. People are not spending money. Everyone around the world, a lot of people are losing jobs. There's no job security. And that year, my business revenue doubled.
Irrespective.
Mhm.
You guys are working out from home and doing something to keep them positive as well.
I was already set up.
You were ready for that moment. That's what you're
My
saying.
railroad, my tracks were laid. I had no transition. I just had more time to work.
Wow. And people also presumably were reaching out more because it was a way of them
So my
coping as
content
well.
marketing was okay. You're home. You're
You
quarantined.
tuned it, huh?
So it's how do I lead from the front based on the current circumstance? How do I start talking about what's happening, but in a way of I can still help you because what are you doing? You can work out, gyms are closed. I can show you how to lose weight without the gym.
So you went contextual. You made it relevant
Yeah, so I'll
contextually.
teach you how to eat and lose weight during
Fantastic.
quarantine.
That content resonated with people.
Yeah.
Wow. So now 2020, 2021, it continues.
Yeah. So business revenue doubled 2020, 2021, almost 2022.
Wow.
Yes.
And where are we today? What's happening now?
So now it's from COVID, then also came people now asking, okay, how do you do this online thing? How have you built your business? So I launched what I call online business accelerator, where I now teach people
To do what you did.
how to use Instagram and Facebook, how to position yourself, how to niche down, how to market, how to sell, and convert people from followers to customers on social
So the
media.
student becomes the master.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And I love the story because you're from Kenya. You're like us. Some people maybe don't see the path, they don't see the way. They think they're in a cage in the corporate world forever. And maybe they have this passion, this desire, they just don't know how. But now you're taking your experiences and potentially showing them how they can do it as well.
Absolutely. But I think my message with this business, what I've come to learn is everything we grew up knowing and the playbook is BS.
Oh, there is no playbook.
The playbook is go to school, get the job, do
Mm.
this. Not everyone is cut out for corporate.
Or the classic employment scenario.
Right. So my main message is if you're working for money, you've already lost.
Wow.
You should be working because you enjoy what you like to do. That way it doesn't feel like work.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
So how can more people tap into what that is for them? And what I like to say is a lot of people saw the opportunity I had in fitness way before I saw it, but we don't see ourselves. We don't see what we're good at. And actually, this Saturday, I had a luncheon with women I've worked with over the last 3 years. They're my clients. And I said to them, some people were created for corporate. They're supposed to be the VPs, the directors, the CEOs. But if deep down you make a lot of money and you're not happy, it's because you're not on purpose. So, what is your purpose?
Why do you exist?
Why are you here? And it's usually not hard to find it. It's just that we don't think that it is what it is. And I like to say, your purpose is the thing that your relas call you for. Hey, I'm struggling with my resume. Can you help read over my resume? Can you tell me if it makes sense? Hey, how do I save? It's the simple things that most people come to you for. It's already there, but to you it's so simple that you don't even see it as such.
And I think you said that because when you're just sort of posting and, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and it's not yet a business idea. It's just me loving what I do.
Right.
And that is the trigger that got people coming at you. You're doing it almost effortlessly, right?
And me thinking that it would never make me much money.
Wow.
You know? Yeah, me doing it for free is okay.
Wow. So I have to ask, you're here, obviously, I think you're leaving tomorrow, but what's next? I'm almost like, I feel like I want to hear what's the next chapter, what's next?
What's next? What's next is I've gotten to a point where I've focused it's 2018 to now, it's 5 years of being in real business, what I call real business. I've grown a team. Next is 2024 is streamlining processes, having systems in place, growing the team some more,
Scaling up some more.
scaling more, because I feel like there's still a lot of things I do that I shouldn't be doing in the business. I'm still in the business and I need to be working on the business. I have a lot of ideas that I've wanted to execute but not had the time. But more importantly, I think I'm at a point where I'm like, even if I never scale the business and stay where I am, I'd be happy.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because you're really in your space, you're in your moment,
Yeah,
right?
it's that, what do you call it? The law of diminishing returns. More won't make me happier. Well, but not everyone maybe thinks that way. But for entrepreneurs, there's always the next level and the next level and the next level. And, I'm now 44. I think I'm starting to think about a family. And that will require that I don't want to be the mom that's absent.
I get you.
Right? So I think my perspective over time has shifted from, oh, I want my business to make this number and it makes it. And then the next, like the numbers will never end.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's starting to tune my mind is to, can I have more? I can go for more. But why?
What underpins that? Yeah.
And what's the cost? Because there's always a cost. Yeah.
And there's also a window of opportunity. There's only a certain time you can do some of these things.
Yes, that too. So can I find a way to still help people lose weight, still help people identify their passion and teach them how to amplify it using social media? I can still do those things because I love them. I probably can do this until I retire, if there's anything such as retiring, because I enjoy it. But I also don't want to let other parts of my life suffer because I'm so focused on other things.
Yeah.
So next for me is get a business to where it's working without me working 20 hours a day or 10 hours a day. Make time for family, whatever that looks like. That's next. That's what's next for me.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think for our audience and the people who are either listening or watching this, how would they find you? How would they know where they can see more about what you have, whether it's signing up for for your services or possibly the business accelerator? How do they find you?
Instagram, I'm still Fit Kenyan Girl, because
Fantastic.
Instagram won't let me change the name
Yeah.
due to privacy issues. Facebook, Jane Mukami. If you just Google my name, you'll find my website. Find me on Instagram, on Facebook. Jane at janemukami.com is my email. So if you send an email, get on the newsletter, but really tapping into social media is where I share everything. So when I'm taking new clients for weight loss or business, it's always going to be up there. And also let everyone know that, like I said, we're not here to struggle and suffer. The reason we do that is because we're not doing the thing we're meant to be doing. So is it easy doing what we do as entrepreneurs? No, everything is a risk. It's not easy, but if you think of it as you'd rather do the thing that makes you happy instead of doing the thing that is miserable but there's financial gain, you'll end up far ahead with the thing that makes you happy.
Wow.
Yeah.
As they say, preach.
I know, right?
Jane, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so delighted we got a chance to do this with the limited time you had.
Right.
And more importantly, I think sharing the story, but also the journey, because I felt like as you were breaking down the steps, almost like the foundations that have brought you to where you are, it's almost like a sequence, that you're moving, you're gaining mastery at different levels, and all these things lead to where you are today. And that journey is not even over. There's still more to do, there's still more to see. But it's not always about making more money. It's about finding a satisfying lifestyle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And thank you for having me once again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining us. That was Jane Mukami, Fit Kenyan Girl, somebody I've known for a while. And of course, you can see there that you can take your passions and turn them into a digital business that allows you to live the kind of life and the kind of quality that you aspire for in a way that you can enjoy and really sort of reach your full potential in your purpose. Once again, thank you for joining us on the Pure Digital Passion Podcast with me, Moses Kemibaro. We'll catch you in the next one.